Why is it some people win and some people lose? Why do some people get everything in life that they want and others get nothing at all? Why do some people seem to have such an easy ride? Is it something just destined in the stars, or is it something more deep than that? Well, I have to say, I think it's a lot more deep than that. And whilst we can talk about luck and everything like that, I've seen countless times where I've succeeded in certain projects, friends of mine or people that I know have failed, then they've come back and looked at me and said, "Oh, you were so lucky that this worked out." I've just sat there and been like, no, it's not luck. There's a reason for that. So let's talk today about some of the main reasons why people fail and why some people get luckier than others. Now, at the outset, this one's quite obvious. It seems like some people just have an easier ride in life than others. Some people get a great education in school, which helps them in life to get a better job, to run a better business, all that kind of thing. Whereas the next person might have a basic education, barely have any understanding of maths, which is going to be quite hard to do accounting, for example. But the thing is, this is some basic level understanding. And this implies that people cannot learn and grow from their current position. And this goes into my very first point that I wish to make here. The concept of growth constantly is something which allows people to continue to win. If you think that you're in a certain position which can be improved and will be improved based on your actions, you are in a position that can change. Whereas if you're somebody who says, well, I've not had the best start in life, and this hasn't gone well, that hasn't gone well, so now I'm not going to do well, you're already hindering yourself. So it doesn't even matter what results you could have in theory gotten. You've now killed all of your extra potential results by saying that you're going to fail to begin with. I really do believe that the mindset that you have is very, very important and will influence more than you think. So by saying this, it's like, what are you doing? You're ruining your chances before you've even set off. That moves into my very next point, which is your belief in yourself. So we have the point that I previously mentioned about what you think you can do, and this ties in, it sounds like one and the same, but there is a slight variation. That one's talking about the previous points that you faced, and what I'm trying to say is the past points that you faced are not indicative of your future, whereas what I'm trying to say about your self-belief is really deep-rooted in yourself. I've heard it so many times, this won't work because I'm not a lucky person. Well, neither am I. I am not a lucky person. You might look at some things that I have, some things that I do, some of the opportunities that I've been given, and say, hey, you are really lucky. And I'm like, no, I've failed at this particular project 15 times. This is a 15th time, and now I'm starting to have a little bit of luck. And you're going to call me lucky then? No. It's a statistical chance. If you were to have a go at this 10 times, 15 times, you would probably win as well. But it's that poor work ethic that doesn't allow you to continue, and that lack of self-belief is often at the heart of that. And that goes on to the next thing that I say is really detrimental to somebody's potential. Now, obviously, nobody likes to work. There's very few people on the whole planet that I believe truly like to work. It's in human nature to do as little as possible, because why wouldn't you? However, with that being said, you need to become addicted to work. You need to become addicted to the results, or else if you don't, you're never going to get there. If we go on the theory that it is just about the amount of times that you try, the work ethic really does matter, because someone's going to try and fail only once a year because it takes them that long to get started, whereas the next person, like me, what I try and do in my businesses, for example, I want to start, win and fail at least 10 times a month. I'm trying that as many times a month as I possibly can. So I'm going to have more opportunities. So the next person's going to look at me and say, you're lucky with this. And it's like, no, I've tried several ideas this month, over 50 ideas this year. Of course I'm going to have more luck. It's a case of you're increasing your probability by doing more. And this is something which people don't really want to understand. Moving on from that, we have people focusing their efforts in the wrong areas. If you want to achieve a certain result, why are you doing the absolute opposite to get there? Let's say I want to be the fastest sprinter in the world. What am I doing to achieve that? If I'm sat on the chair eating biscuits, I'm not exactly helping myself to obtain that goal, am I? I need to be in the gym, I need to be on the track, running, training as much as I can to get in the best physical shape that I can to have that potential to win that goal in the first place. Whereas if I'm 50 pounds overweight, what do you expect? Of course I'm not going to win the race. It's just not going to happen. So it's about doing the right things. Don't tell me about how you want to have, $1 million in the bank when you're sat on the chair watching Netflix. You should really be out there building a business, running your business online, or something of that matter that's going to help you to build your empire and your net worth if that is what you wish to do, for example. So why do people not understand this? The amount of work that you do, the level of dedication that you have will rub off onto your work, and again, it will give you that sort of probability of success that others won't have. The next thing is going above and beyond other people. Think about it. We've all heard the stories about the richest people in the world, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, all these types of people. But Elon Musk, for instance, who was briefly, I believe, the richest person on earth last year, and may still be, I'm not too sure off the top of my head, think about it. He says that he sleeps in his office. I'm not saying that that's something that everybody should do, but what I am trying to say though is, this man has obtained unworldly heights. Literally, he sent rockets to space, he has obtained unworldly heights. But he had to take risks to get there, and he has to do things that most people won't be comfortable with. But the end goal for him is worth it. So it's like, how much sacrifice are you willing to make? How much risk are you willing to put in? And how much extra than other people are you willing to put in? Some people go home from the office at 5, 6 o'clock, and they go and sit on the chair watching Netflix. Other people go straight to the gym. Other people then come straight home and do a side hustle. This is what sets these people apart. Then people look at them saying you're lucky because you didn't have to do much for it. They don't see the basis of it. You only see the 10% of success. If you see someone driving around in a Ferrari, you just say, oh, it's a Ferrari. It costs, £300,000. This guy's rich. But you don't really acknowledge what had to happen to get there. Some people just get lucky and inherit money, but for a lot of people it's a case of no, you had to invest, you had to think smart, you had to do what others are not willing to do. And this is what separates these sorts of people apart. I think by far one of the biggest ways to fail in life is to not have a direct plan. If you're not working towards anything, how can you have your goals outlined? How can you have your goals full stop? If I said that by next year I wanted to travel to 3 more countries, I would have a clear goal in my mind. So now I can set about completing that goal. But if I sat here saying, well, I'm not too sure what I want to do, of course you're not going to achieve anything. What is the dream? What is the goal? What is the passion? If you're not working towards it, if there's nothing to work towards, you're not going to get there. And let's talk about the thoughts of others, because this is something which really can positively or negatively influence our experience depending on who we're around. If we're around people who don't really like success, if you will, in the sense that you look at them, don't see what you want to achieve, why are you taking their opinions for anything? Like, I'm sure these people have your best interests at heart, but let's face it, I'm not going to take advice about how to get a nice car by someone who drives a car that I don't like. I'm not going to take fitness advice by an overweight person. I'm not going to take advice about how to make money by someone on minimum wage. These are just common sense tips which anybody can understand. But in the real world, people see these people, they see them as, my friend, my brother, my sister. They see them as these people, and they don't acknowledge what their attributes actually are. I'm not saying that these people wish ill for you at all. I'm sure they wish amazing. But what I am clearly saying here is, do these people have what you want? If they do, it's someone who you should shut up and listen to because they understand what you need to do. Whereas if it's somebody who isn't in that position, is it really worth taking their advice on this specific matter? Like, there's some people in my life who, when it comes to life advice specifically, I take their word 100%. I trust everything that they say. However, when it comes to the same people talking about finance and business, I'm not going to listen because these people are not in the financial position. Certain things they can educate me on, certain things they can help me with, but you need to understand, for a specific game, it requires a specific type of player. If you're talking to somebody who has no experience in a field, why do you want their advice on something? And this is important. I'm not saying that you necessarily need to change your friend group or associate yourself with different people, but it doesn't hurt to have a group of people who understand what you're trying to achieve. If you can find that group, whether it's online, in some sort of a forum, or even in the comment section of this YouTube channel, hopefully one day, you're going to be in a community of people who understand. And it doesn't mean that you should disregard all of the words of people who care about you and want to see you do well. It just means that when it comes to certain subjects, they clearly don't know what they're on about, or else they'd have done it themselves. Like, unless I've seen your action in play for the topic that you're talking about, I don't really have much belief in what you're saying. And the biggest point I must say, which I believe is holding lots of people back, is not realizing where you are. And the reason why they do this is because they don't mark their progress. If you don't mark your progress in some sort of a quantifiable way, you won't see what you're doing to change. If I was to mark how much money I've made every single month, for example, in my business, I could see a linear path, whether it's up, down, flat, something like that. I can see some sort of statistical quantifiable data which I can then read off. And then I can look back and say, hey, I'm actually doing so well compared to 3 months ago. Whereas if I didn't have that chart, it's like, I made this much this month, great. Like, now what? It's like, the data's not there. So you really do have to have those facts sometimes to back yourself up. It sounds crazy, but it is actually true. But anyway, guys, this is just my personal opinion based on what I've seen. I'm not trying to say this is going to work for everybody. I'm not trying to say it's something that you should necessarily follow. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on my experiences and things that I think hold people back from success. Because I see this so much on the internet. I see people talking about how their life's not going the way they want it to. I see people talk about the way their job's not working, the way they're not making the money, the way they're not having the luck with their friendships, their relationships. And it's like, okay, zoom out, like, look at this from a third person perspective. Would somebody else looking in on your life expect you to be having success? Probably not, because like, you've not done anything to build a business or build some sort of an income, so of course you're not making any more money. You've not found friends of similar interest, all that kind of stuff. So of course you're not going to be doing extremely well when you're not doing extreme things. Work harder to get better results. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this sort of content. If you do, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you all again soon. Goodbye.